Hello, I'm Amir, and I'd like to invite you to this short session where we talk about AI agents and what do they mean for executives and business leaders. By way of introduction, this is some of the companies that I've worked at, such as AWS, Teva Pharmaceuticals, Motorola, and some startups. And on the side, you can see some of the customers that I've been working with on innovation, on AI, or a combination of both. You're welcome to connect with me as well. I want to take you through these kind of four sections very quickly. This is very high level. Um, Starting with what are AI agents, what are the opportunities and use cases, what are the implications for leaders, and then kind of some takeaways to act upon. So let's talk about AI agents, the opportunities and the use cases. Before we go into agents, this is something I always start with. If you haven't realized yet, intelligence is now a commodity. There's multiple intelligent tasks and intelligent activities that you can delegate to tools that can perform them as good as humans or even better than humans in some cases. And that would cost you very little. It would cost you fractions of a dollar per task. That obviously has many implications that will impact many of the ways that we do our work. Now, it's worthwhile spending a minute on what are the generative AI capabilities. You've probably experienced some of them. So when you've chatted with a tool like ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, it was probably through text. But text is not just kind of generating and chatting through it. It is good at summarizing documents, reviewing, understanding and expressing sentiment, and extracting data. It's also good at translation, although it wasn't trained to translate. And because uh, code or um, uh, programming languages are a language, it also is good at doing things around that. There's other capabilities though, so visual assets, creating images, videos, 3D rendering, etc. There's audio and voice, which can be either transcribed or generated with AI. There's also data augmentation, so connecting different structured, unstructured data sources and extracting insights and understanding from them. And an emerging category is related to physical assets, where AI models can be used to either control physical assets such as drones and robots, autonomous vehicles, or to predict physical assets such as molecules and materials for material science. So lots of capabilities that we can tap into. And then I'd like to divide the business opportunities when it comes to generative AI into these three pillars. The first pillar is something that often leaders and companies start with, which is boosting your productivity in internal workflows. The second pillar is creating value for customers and stakeholders through communication channels, support, training, and inside your products. And the third one is thinking about the disruption of models, business models, operating models, even whole industries and economies. For boosting productivity, this is where you can perform tasks and workflows faster at larger scale with higher quality and at lower cost if you use them correctly. So as an example, if you're doing content development and you have a workflow in each of these tasks along the way, you can use certain tools as co-pilots to help you to generate more content, different types of content that would otherwise be impossible to create, and to optimize your workflows. I use different kind of frameworks to help you break this opportunity down. It could be like breaking it down, breaking it down into steps. What are the inputs, the outputs, the data sources, and so forth, and then seeking out the generative AI opportunities. When it comes to creating value, this is when I talk about how you can um, interact better with your customers and other stakeholders with the help of AI. So this is where different capabilities of these tools come in, such as helping you create personalized communication, allowing your customers and stakeholders to interact with data, with your products, with um, all kinds of help sources. It's also good at identifying emotion and acting upon the sentiment, but also expressing empathy and showing that kind of emotion. It's getting better at that. Maybe scary, but that's the truth. And then it is great at creating multimodal experiences. So sound, music, visuals, video, more and more we can let people experience our products, our brands through those tools. And because it is read countless stories, it is great at telling stories and coming up with stories if you know how to use it correctly. And humans connect to stories very well. And there's two ways that I can make you think about creating value with AI. One is through the enhanced services. So as I said, training, support, communication, and so forth, not in the products itself. Here's an example of a chatbot that customers are able to talk with an online course and ask questions about the content and how to implement it. It can be done in multiple languages, so you can start speaking to it in Spanish, Chinese, or whatever language. Although the content itself is in English, you will be able to communicate it in your language. And then you can very easily create prototypes and services that uh, wrap your regular services with more digital stuff to help customers. And creating value by offering AI-powered products, we're seeing more and more AI into products such as Miro and UX Pilot and Canva, and within tools like Jira, where you can just speak to it in natural language and you can create things that otherwise beforehand would require a very technical skill. So I often use this canvas dividing, the user journeys for the first opportunity and the product innovation uh, column for product innovation opportunities. Moving on to disruption, and this is where we are going to talk about agents as well. So as I said, this is going to disrupt value chains, business models, operating models, and more. 2025 has been the year of agents, or has it? It has been the year of agents, definitely in software engineering, and we've seen a number of products that kind of took the market and grew in adoption very quickly. Uh, Not so much in uh, other functions. We are starting to see that now with more tools coming for other functions like Claude for Excel and healthcare applications and others where agents are becoming part of the flow or helping in marketing and in content generation and in sales and in other respects as well. So let's talk about AI agents. What are they? How are they different than the regular AI tools that we've been accustomed to? And how do they fit also with humans and the tools that we use? So what makes an agent? And this is going to be a simplified high-level version, but I think it should help you understand what are the possibilities, risks, and implications. So first of all, an agent has a job. It's not something that a tool that you ask a question and get a response like a chat tool, right? You define a high-level job and you ask it to seek to achieve that job and the goals repeatedly, continuously. Very much like if you would hire a person and give them a job and a goal definition for that job. An agent, in order to execute that job and achieve its goals, it needs access to tools, and that can be emails, databases, communication channels, uh, tools to create code and content and whatnot. It also, because the job is defined at very high level, it needs agency. It needs to be able to make decisions about what to do next, how to operate these tools, when to communicate, when is a job done, what is good quality. So it has to have some sort of agency in order to achieve those goals. And it needs some sort of feedback mechanism, either being able to inspect its own outputs and outcomes or a way to get feedback from other people or agents on what it did and should it continue to do something or change something. So if that's an agent, what's the role of humans in this scenario? So first of all, we need to define the job. We need to say, hey, this is what I want the agents to be able to do. These are the tasks, and this is what I want it to achieve. And this is how it's part of a bigger picture of the team working or my own goals. Secondly, if we want the agent to do its job well, we need to give it context. We need to explain, hey, this is what was already done. This is our brand voice. These are our assets. You should be doing this and not that. This is, I care about security, and here's information about our company and about our customers. The more context, the more information you give it, the better performance you'll get out of it. Thirdly, you need to decide what level of autonomy do you want to give this agent? Do you want to have it ask you every time that it kind of achieved a milestone or a subtask, or should it go end to end and do things on your behalf with very minimal control? And depending on your context or your circumstances, like if you're in a regulated environment, or how much you trust this agent. Is it something that new that you've started to use? And how's the adoption going with the people who are using it? You'll make different decisions and maybe change the level of autonomy you give it over time. Fourth, you'll need to give it access to tools. So if it needs to read your emails, it needs credentials to read your emails. If it needs to communicate with you or your teammates on Slack, you'll need to give it access to Slack. And of course, with the access to tools come risks, so you'll need to make decisions. Okay, how do I control the permissions and the credentials when it acts in my behalf? And lastly, you need to set in place ways to monitor both the actions and the outcomes and the outputs of the agent. So how is it making decisions? What are judgment calls it's making? And you should do it because you need to sometimes maybe rein it in, and also because you need to evolve it and you need to give it continuous feedback and you need to improve it based on the quality of the outputs that it produces. So to exemplify, we have our workflows, right? We've been doing this in a professional way for years. We have teams who do different things. So for example, when we design user experiences, we might go through these steps. You might have a different process, but usually you would have like a either written or unspoken process where the way things are done. And this is all driven by humans before AI. Now, when we use co-pilots, again, we still have the humans driving the process, but every now and again they turn to a tool to help them with designing a wireframe, checking the brand, designing some A/B testing with code, maybe documenting things, right? But the human is turning to an AI copilot to help them in a specific task. This is not agents yet. Neither is the next level. So this is AI-powered workflow with some automation. So the human decides what is the flow, what are the steps that we need to go through. The humans decide when do we move from one step to the other. The human decides what is the trigger to start the process and when is it done. They might also be somewhere in the middle, kind of reviewing some of the content and switching things and deciding to stop the process or to redo some of the steps. But basically, it's automated with tools handing over or connected with the outputs and inputs from one step to the other. This is where agents come in, the next step. So here, the humans define a high-level job. They give an agent access to different tools. They allow it to do different tasks. They don't tell it when to do what. And the agent decides which tool should I use, when should I be doing this task, when should I be doing another task, and when and should I be communicating back with the human to show the result. We now are seeing more and more agentic teams. So not just one agent, but different agents with different capabilities and specialties and access to different tools, and like an agent orchestrator, like an agent manager that decides, okay, now I'm going to send this agent to do research, this agent to build something, this agent to test it, and so forth. So, summary and key takeaways. First, AI agents have at least a major value potential, and you should be exploring where is that potential relevant to your context. Secondly, you need to select the right tool and the right approach for the use case. So sometimes you'll need Copilot, sometimes automated AI-powered workflows, and maybe sometimes agents. So don't choose blindly, let's go all in for agents if you don't need agents. And if maybe your organization is not mature in terms of data and people adopting these tools and the safety mechanisms that you have or the strict regulations that you must comply with. And thirdly, speaking about regulations and guardrails, you need to develop these skills and these capabilities as more agents come in. Guardrails, judgment, governance to be able to control, because in the end, your teams are responsible and liable for the results. So I think it's a very exciting time to build with AI. And in order to do so, you need to think big, and I invite you to do so. I also invite you to connect with me. I have a newsletter going out weekly talking about leadership principles, business value with AI, tools, and different aspects of this. You're welcome to also connect with me, as I said. I hope this was valuable. See you around.